Good evening. I think I pressed the button there and I wasn't really ready, but hey, there's nothing new there, is there? How are you this evening? I'm going to babble on while some of you drop on. I have to say, I feel very naughty tonight. There's something top secret happening here tomorrow. And I'm not telling you, I'm not telling anybody, not telling you, but we're going to drop some hints. So you need to look at clues. Look over the next few days and see if I drop any clues onto my pages about what may be going on here at the minute that's top secret, something that I'm doing this year that's completely new. So yeah, it's quite exciting actually, and I love being secretive about things. I love not telling people and then boom, launching something. So watch this space is all I'm going to say. Hope you're well this evening. Hope you've had an amazing Christmas and New Year, and Happy New Year, by the way. 2023 is going to be the bomb. I'm telling you this now. All the predictions for 2023, the woo-woo ones, I've looked at all the angel numbers, and it's a year of sevens. I think that's what it is. All the numbers, 2023 add up to 7. It's a year of sevens. That's really positive in many different ways. I'm not going to go into that tonight. So 2023, if you're ready to do business, could be your year. Anyway, for those of you that know me, I'm Mandy. For those of you that don't, I'm Mandy Nicholson, and I am the Creative Genius Consultant. I'm an artist. I'm an author. I am a creative retreat owner here in Scotland, and I help creative women to launch, grow, and scale their businesses and make more money. And tonight, I want to talk about the opposite of what I normally talk about. It's opposite day, okay? Normally I'm talking about planning and goal setting. I do lots of trainings on that. I had my free workshop before Christmas, launched my planner. I love planning and goal setting, but I also know that for creative women, this is something that can feel really, really overwhelming. Happy New Year to you, Joanna. It can feel really overwhelming. And there are reasons for this. And it's a big subject, a really big subject. Many creatives naturally have some ADHD symptoms, if not all of them. There's a really close correlation between being creative, being naturally creative, a creative business owner, an entrepreneur, and ADHD. And there's lots of women being diagnosed now at an older age that would never have been diagnosed before. They've stopped calling us witches, psychotic, hysterical, and actually realized that there is a condition at the back of some of the behaviors that we demonstrate as creatives and as women. So tonight I wanted to talk about why it is that creatives find planning and goal setting so difficult at times when everybody else is talking about it, including me. Okay, I talk about it a lot. Loads of people are talking about getting into 2023, setting goals, doing this, planning. And for those of you that are feeling like, oh my God, this is something I just can't do, it can be really, really overwhelming. So I want to get that on the table tonight and let you know that there's nothing wrong with you and you are not broken. So very, very often, one of the struggles that creatives have is that they just can't prioritize. And there's a reason behind this. Shiny object syndrome is going on. They can't prioritize. They've got so many fantastical ideas. This creative brain is working on steroids, and of all these amazing ideas of how they could make money, all the different things they could do in their business are going on in their head, making it really, really difficult for them to prioritize. Okay, for you to prioritize or figure out what to do next. There's all these things. What do I do next? And what happens is they fall into a literal or figurative heap under the weight of feeling overwhelmed, and then end up feeling hopeless and not doing anything. Or you've got all these things and nothing gets done because of the feelings of overwhelm. If this is you, this is quite normal in some of the women that I come across. And this is one of the traits of ADHD. I'm not saying you're ADHD. Please don't take this in any offense in anything that I say, but there are so many similarities. So what do you do when you're feeling like this? Well, the first thing is there's nothing wrong with you. This is normal. And, I think the best way to be able to navigate these feelings is to really just do one thing at a time, not try and fit into the box. Don't even try and to fit into my box of the training that I do with planning. If it doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't resonate with you. That's okay. You don't have to. We show up and share what we do, not to tell you that you've got to do it, but to give you options. You do not have to fit into a box. So that's the first thing. Don't feel like you failed because you can't do something. You don't have to do something. You have to find the way that works for you. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, just think about what you need to do, what one thing you could do in the next hour. Take it an hour at a time. You don't have to plan for the week, for the month, for the year. If that makes you feel like running to the hills, plan for the next hour. Choose something out of all these things that are going on in your head and say, right, I'm going to focus on this for an hour, just for an hour, and see where I get to. Okay, and start to build up. The one thing I'm going to say is that planning and goal setting are learned behaviors. When I started doing them decades ago, I wasn't great at it. I learned how to become better. I learned how to be consistent and how to plan in a way that suited me. I don't plan like some of the linear thinkers. I plan like a creative. You only have to look at my 4-foot mind map that's sat at the back of me for the last few weeks, that's now in front of me so I can see it all the time. And you know that I'm quite different. That's okay. I can do it my way and you can do it your way. Sometimes the creative brain is inherently unable to anticipate and plan for the future. Okay, I want to talk about this. This is kind of the second point I wanted to make. And that typically manifests in two ways. Creative people often have a very short, what we call a time horizon, the ability to see ahead. And they engage in what is called temporal discounting. This is an ADHD trait, and I see this a lot in my creative clients. So small children have this trait. Small children can only think about what they're doing today or tomorrow, and they can't see the end of the week or next week. It's impossible. You ask your child to plan for next week and they'll just look at you. And that's temporal discounting. It's an inability to see this time horizon past the day that they're in. And actually, there's a lot of benefits to that. They're able to live in the moment better than we are. As adults, that stuff's knocked out of us, isn't it? So I want you to imagine, you yourself as a creative stood on a harbour looking at a horizon, and you've got a linear thinker standing next to you. The non-creative is standing with you. You're two good friends. You're very different. And on that horizon, a boat appears. Your linear thinking friend will see that boat like a long time before you do. If you're a creative and if you've got some of these ADHD traits, that's temporal discounting. It's not necessary for you to see that boat. You've got all this other stuff going on in your head, all the shiny objects. The linear thinker is just looking ahead. There's nothing going on in there. They're just looking ahead at the horizon, probably enjoying the view. There's all this stuff that's busy in your brain. So you don't need to see it. So you've discounted it from the horizon. And it could be actually a couple of minutes in between them seeing it and you seeing it. That's how much of an impact that can have on you. Now that, if you scale that up, this is why you struggle to be able to anticipate and plan for the future, because you just can't see it because of all the things that are going on in your head. And it's almost a childlike trait that actually is not a bad thing to have going on in your head. It does force you to live in the moment more. It doesn't help you when you're in business. You've got to learn some behaviors and some strategies and techniques to help you be able to see a little bit further forward and plan a little bit better, because business strategy is important. That's okay. It's all learned stuff. And take baby steps when you are learning it. Okay, so you are not broken. This, if I was standing on that harbour with my linear thinking friend, I wouldn't see the boat either. I probably wouldn't see it till it was right in front of me, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, because it wouldn't be important to me. My brain would be doing all the other stuff. So it's important then, it's just that you just plan for the time frame that you can manage and think of. If you can only think about the week, plan for the week, but do it well. Do it really well, and have a system where you plan for a week at a time and build your plan like a jigsaw. So plan for your week, do what's in it. You've done that. Build your jigsaw a little bit at a time with your planning. You don't have to see 3 months ahead or a year ahead if it's impossible for you. But you do need to train your brain to be able to think a little bit ahead so that you can create your business plans. Because without them, you won't be able to move your business forward. I know there's a lot of people think they can wing it, and a lot of people do wing it. I've had a conversation about that this evening. But there's a plan at the back of them winging it. They're not really winging it. They've got an idea, they've got a plan. It might not be on an Excel spreadsheet, but they do have a plan. So the third point I want to make on this tonight is that often you just haven't thought about what you want to do yet. And it feels like a lot of energy. Okay, so you're an artist. Let's just say you're an artist, you're creating this beautiful work. You don't know what it looks like yet, the business model that you want for this. And it feels like it's draining when you think about how you're going to do it. And it's a lot of energy to think about something that isn't immediately relevant, isn't something that's right in front of you. Okay, it's hard for you to know in advance how you will feel when you are doing these things. And as a creative, you're going to be more empathic, you're going to feel more, and that's actually quite important on your journey. And you don't want to be held to plans that no longer make sense to you in the moment. So you might, what I mean by that is you might have been forced to make a plan, or you've been encouraged to make a plan in a workshop or with somebody else. And then in the moment, it might not feel relevant to you anymore, what you've said you're going to do next month. And that feels like an energy drain for you. I don't know whether you can relate to this. This is I quite often see this where I get some of my ladies going, need to take a day out. I'm completely drained. And this doesn't make sense to me anymore. I've got to do something else. I get this all the time in my creative mastermind. Honestly, it's an often thing, not a every now and again thing. So, but I'm going to go back here to the planning and goal setting and doing all this stuff is learned behavior. Now, you learned how to brush your teeth. You learned how to use a knife and fork. Some of you might have taken longer than others. I know that my son took my son is autistic. My daughter is ADHD. And my son took an awful lot longer than my daughter to learn how to do things like using a knife and fork and brushing his teeth and all of those things. It wasn't immediately important to him in the moment. It wasn't relevant. He couldn't understand it. He could only ever do one thing at a time. My daughter's ADHD, and she literally will look at a calendar or a diary and feel incredibly overwhelmed. She can't think past where she is today. And if you resonate with those feelings, it's perfectly normal. Set yourself on a path of learning one small thing every week, every month, and doing that one small thing consistently. It never has to be big stuff. Joanna's saying, if I'm pushed to agree something in the future, I end up in a panic. Yes, panic and back out of it. I find this a lot with thanks for saying that, Joanna. A lot of people, a lot of the creatives I work with are like, oh my God, I've committed to this thing. And it's like in 2 months, it sounded like a good idea at the time. And now I'm getting near to it. I'm panicking and I don't want to do it. That's part of this process I've been talking to you about tonight. This fear that comes over as this overwhelmed feeling of committing to something that we can't, because you might have in the moment, this is the shiny object syndrome that happens to us all as well. In the moment, it feels like a good idea, looks like a good idea, looks like something you could say yes to. And then as it looms, you're like, what have I done? I don't want to do this. It feels really scary to me, or it doesn't align with where I am today. Might have been an idea 2 months ago. So all of this is really normal, and we need to talk about it more. And this is why I wanted to talk about this tonight. I'm really good at coming on here and talking to you about planning and goal setting, and doing a whole ass workshop on planning and goal setting, and teaching you what I do and how, how that can help you. And it really can. Honestly, it really can. But it depends where you are. And what I'm going to say to you is, whenever you're working with anyone, they've got to meet you where you are at. This is important. And if you're here and they're trying to teach you here, you're going to feel overwhelmed and you're not going to do it. You're not going to do the work. You're going to back out. You're going to panic. You're going to have all those feelings, those icky feelings that come when you are, because you'll feel, did you ever sit in a classroom and you kind of thought you knew the answer to something, and you stuck your hand up and you answered it and you were wrong, and all the other kids laughed at you and you were made to feel really, really bad, like you'd failed, like you were stupid? That's how we tend to feel, because we're so emotional as creatives, and so empathic, and so feely compared to the rest of them. We actually have a real fear of sticking our head above the parapet and saying, look at me, because we've been told so often by society that we are not good enough, or that, we can't do things. So I wanted to get this on the table. I think it's really important. I think the good thing at the moment is lots of people are talking about ADHD. I am writing a book about this subject at the minute, this correlation between creativity and ADHD. There's actually a freebie on my website. If you go to mandynicholson.co.uk, you can get a free download of 35 points that are that's the bones of my book, of the behaviors that I've seen in creatives that are also, most of them, on the diagnosis for ADHD. And remember, I've got 2 children on the spectrum, so I know it well. So there's a lot that needs to be spoken about here. Loads of people are coming out about ADHD, but there's this connection between ADHD and creativity. A lot of the things that are in the diagnosis, you will find yourself feeling or doing probably daily, if not weekly. So tonight was the night I wanted to, brand new year, 2023. I want you to feel like you are as good as the person standing next to you. Just because they plan or apparently plan better than you, because believe me, what it looks like isn't always how it is. I'm going to say that to you. I want to be really honest with you. They might appear to be better than you, earning more money than you, doing better than you, but half the time they're not. And you are equal to the person that you are shoulder to shoulder with all the time. It doesn't matter who they are. I don't care if I was shoulder to shoulder with the president of the USA or the royal family. I am equal to them. So are you. And there's no more of this being made to feel like you are not good enough. You are good enough. You just learn differently. You have a different pace. You see and visualize things differently than the linear thinkers. Some people, can't think in color or pictures. All they can think in is black and white or words. So we all think really differently. What's going on in your head is likely to be extremely different to what's going on in the next person's head. So how can we ever compare ourselves? We just can't, can we? So I just wanted to open the lid on that in the new year and say, look, creative ladies, I know that you think differently. I know that you feel like, you're a bit odd at times, but you're absolutely not. And if you're in my world, then you should feel completely normal. If you are feeling like that, get yourself in my next 5-day challenge. It starts in 13 days on the 16th of January. And the ladies that have been and done that challenge and done the work have gone away and made huge changes in their businesses and their lives. I give away tons of value, way more than anybody else. It is a great challenge. We have great fun in it. So if you've not done it before, sign up. I've put the link up above in the description or to the side, however you're viewing this live. If you've been before, come and do it again. I've had people do it 3-4 times before they've even considered working with me in any way or buying anything from me. That's why it's there. It's a free 5-day challenge. Come and join, because all of the things you learn are the small bits of the jigsaw that you can start putting together in learning the things that you need in order to move you forward. So, welcome to 2023, folks. I will see you again next Tuesday. Have a wonderful week. And next Tuesday, I'll be reminding you about the challenge again, because it will be starting a few days after. And watch out for the clues of the top secret mission that's happening in Del Beatty tomorrow. I'm going to leave you with that. Have a wonderful week. Bye for now.